There we go. The recording has started. All right. Well, then, good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 5th, 2025, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. Audio capabilities are listen only and offered on the best effort to the public. Today, our meeting is not live streamed either on our website or through Jane Scott Video Productions due to the remote structure of the meeting. There is the call-in number and everyone is available to join us and to listen in, but the video stream today is not being live streamed due to technology challenges of our remote format. But before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to the public comments email on our website. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board, posted online before the meeting, and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email public comments by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners Office, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon, 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. Do we have anyone signed up online for public comment today, Deb?
To the best of my knowledge, we do not.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, well, we have already called the meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe Deb's going to screen share a flag for us commissioners. And then Commissioner Bell, would you lead us off once she does that?
I'll keep my mic on too, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you. I shared the story of when it was my turn and I was the only one with my mic on and my brain had just went dead in the middle. So it was stage fright. So I'm sure hearing it just resound in my own ears. Okay, Commissioner Bell, if you would, please.
I pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we do not have any public comments. We do not have any non-agenda items today. So we will go ahead and jump into our legislative administrative agenda with item 5. Consideration of a State of Oregon Department of Energy Standard Grant Agreement number 25-007 for the County Energy Resilience Program. And we have Randy Thorpe, our Director of Emergency Management, with us this morning. Good morning, Randy.
Well, good morning, Wednesday morning. And it looks like the weather's going to break up just right on cue for us for that 12 o'clock start. What we have here before you is the grant agreement between the Oregon Department of Energy and Tillamook County. And this grant is to be used for the purpose of developing a countywide energy resiliency plan, which there is none in this county and very few counties have one. This is a new program that was developed through House Bill 3171. That set some guidelines up and also put in some money to help those counties who wanted to develop the energy resiliency plan to have a little seed money to get that plan up and running in their counties. So we talking that over with a few of our cooperators here and with the county commissioners, decided that this was a good opportunity for us to develop a plan here for the county and be able to look for some resiliency into the future for our county. It's a $50,000 grant, and it is one of those great grants that is a non-matching grant. So this is just, there's no matching that we have to come up with on it. And so I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us. Prior to this, I did check around with a few consultants that would be able to do this kind of plan to make sure that the 50,000 was enough, and we were going to have to dig up another 50,000 to try to get the plan done. It looks like this will be sufficient funds to complete the plan without any additional cost to the county. So with that, I will take any questions that you have.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Bell?
Thank you. I don't have any questions for Randy, but I'd just like to say I think this is a great idea. We had a terrific presentation by Todd Simmons, the director of PUD, recently about energy reliability and the future of energy in Tillamook County, and I think coming up with a plan for energy is very smart. So I'm glad that you found this grant opportunity and that we'll be moving forward with this.
Perfect. Thank you. Commissioner Fournier?
I don't have much. Just want to thank Randy for all the grants that he seems to be finding and applying for. I really appreciate that. Much needed, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, hopefully I can stay on top of it.
Perfect. Okay. I agree. This is a great grant opportunity and are very timely with our energy conversation, as Commissioner Bell pointed out. So I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a State of Oregon Department of Energy Standard Grant Agreement number 25-007 for the County Energy Resilience Program.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. And I don't have my gavel, so motion carries will be
We'll
the
pretend
whole
we
thing
did.
today. There will be no slam of the gavel. So
Just to talk a little bit with Commissioner Bell. I met with Tillamook People's Utility District, and they are really excited to support this project 148 million%. So they are really going to be a very helpful driving force here, and I think it's, as Commissioner Bell said, it's much needed, especially after that presentation. And so it's really great to have them on board. I just wanted to make sure that everybody realizes that they are a vital part to this plan, and they are in it to the end.
perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to item number 6, which is consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a prevailing wage rate contract for construction for the Tillamook County Justice and Jail Center generator replacement. Lieutenant Fernando Silveira. Lieutenant, are you with us? I am not seeing him.
Commissioner Scar, this is Isabel. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I sent Fernando the link this morning, but I'm not 100% certain he's received on time. But I can present this item if needed.
Perfect. Would you like to go ahead and carry that for us? That would be great.
So the Justice Facility put out a call for bids to replace their generator, and we received 17 bid solicitations. And no, sorry, we sent out 17 bid solicitations, and we received 5 bids. And the lowest bid came in at $110,000, and that was EC Electric. And this order is our notice of intent to award this contract to EC Electric for the project.
Perfect.
And after the order is signed, we send out to all the plan holder list, everybody that requested a copy of the bid and that submitted a bid, so they know ahead of time who the bid was awarded to. And then there's a 7-day public comment period for which people can respond and ask questions. And then after that, you'll see an agreement come before you for the actual project. It'll be a prevailing wage rate contract. It'll be on the February 19th agenda, hopefully, if everything goes smoothly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions? Excuse me, Rachel, please go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to add, thank you for carrying that, Isabel. You may recall that this project was not budgeted this fiscal year. We have been trying to get it completed. I think Paul at one point had applied for a grant that didn't get awarded. So we did include this project in our ARPA requests late last year as we were trying to allocate before the December deadline came. And it just wasn't ready to go. So we made a decision at that point to put it into the building improvement fund. So just letting you know, that's where the funding is coming from.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was going to be my one question, so I appreciate that. Commissioners, questions and comments. Commissioner Bell, do you want to begin?
None for me. I'm supportive.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier?
I'm also supportive.
Excellent, as am I. I think we've talked repeatedly as we've considered this about how it is important that persons in custody are not left in a facility without power. And we know that that is something that happens all too frequently in our community. So I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of order number 25-009 in the matter of a notice of intent to award a prevailing wage rate contract for construction for the Tillamook County Justice and Jail Center generator replacement.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Thank you, Isabel. Appreciate that. Number 7, consideration of Tourism Advisory Committee recommendations for 2024-2025 TLT tourism-related facilities community grants. Nan Devlin, Director of Tillamook Coast Visitors Association. Good morning, Nan.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine. Watching the snow hit my car right now and the windshield. So
Oh,
good.
fun.
Good travels today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a really astounding response to the tourism facilities grants this round. It was a total request of $938,999. So pretty close to $936,000. We had $700,000 to award. And in doing that, we tried to get, and the Tourism Advisory Committee was very diligent. We had great discussions, and we tried to get as much money out to as many applicants as we could. And so they have recommended 14 of these of the 20 applications for funding. So, of course, we're using a brand new grant management software this year, and it's been very helpful in gathering comments, scores, ranking. It actually ranks them for us, which is really good. And this year, the number 1 ranked was the State Forest Trust of Oregon. They were requesting $10,501 for the Wilson River Trail extension. This is they want to add 4 more miles to the Wilson River Trail. And we'll change it from what is currently at 26 miles to 30 miles. So that's a great one. That came in number 1. Number 2 was the Port of Garibaldi for the completion of Lumberman's Park. They're in Garibaldi right next to the train station, and it was $25,000 request. And when doing some of these, and I will say what the request is and then what the TAC advised, because we were trying to spread out some of the funding. So they were fully funded. City of Nehalem is putting in a new park at the corner of like 101 and where the 90-degree turn in Nehalem happens. And it's been an empty lot for a while. And the owner of the lot has transferred like a deed over to the city. And so they want to put in a park. They did ask for $75,000, and it's a $150,000 project. And the TAC awarded them, or is recommending an award of $70,000. The Salmonberry Trail is doing some trail development in Wheeler and kind of making it a model for the other towns that are on the trail. They asked for 67,472, and the TAC recommends 62,472. And part of that is because part of their application was actually kind of a marketing and communications program, but they had just received 2 days before that $5,000 to do that from our marketing grants. So this won't hurt their project. They'll be fully funded between the two. Bay City asked for 2 projects. One is for their playground, which is in pretty bad need of repair. And the playground is 49, they asked for 49,681, and that has been recommended. And then they also need major work on their bathroom at the playground at Al Griffith Memorial Park, and they had asked for 75,000, and TAC has recommended 70,000. On another park, City of Tillamook Coatesville Park. Let me turn my page here. They're going to put in an ADA playground, and their playground was just destroyed. And so they asked for 40,000, and TAC recommended the full 40,000. Port of Garibaldi asked for a replacement tent. Their tent, which has hosted many, many, many events, is now 10 years old, and they need a stronger one. This current tent has to often be taken down early because it can't withstand the winds. So they want a stronger one. And they asked originally for 75,000, but TAC suggested 70,000. Tillamook YMCA, the Bastega Activity Center, they need to put in machinery and a computer system that does, the bowling balls and tracks the scoring and all that. Right now, it's all done by hand. That's what I was told. And they asked for 70,000. They asked for 75, and TAC recommended 70. Neskowin Community Association, is for a repair of Neskowin Beach access ramps, and those access ramps are getting difficult, according to Nestucca Fire Chief Ader. He said they need to be able to reach and have better access there in case of emergencies. So they asked for 40,590, and that's what they were awarded. Excuse me, 40,950. I had to transpose 549.50, and that was recommended for full funding. Shore Pine Village HOA, they are on the last phase of that repair on that ramp. They have put in a lot of money themselves, probably double or triple what they've received in the past. The original ask was $72,016, and the TAC recommended 70,000, just a reduction of a little over $2,000 for that. But that will be, they were quite adamant that if they didn't get this part fixed, they may have to shut the ramp down, and we don't want to do that. That's a public access ramp and takes people safely over the dune. Tillamook County Fairgrounds Association. This is to improve lighting, put in new lighting at the fairgrounds there for the tennis courts. And there was some question about whether, because the fairgrounds is a county property, does that come from other kinds of budgeting? And that's something you'll have to discuss. But they asked for $60,088, and the TAC recommended $50,088 and suggested that they go to the PUD for the extra $10,000. And these are the kinds of projects that the PUD often funds in their grant program. So that's just one question there about that, about whether that is a county property. Pine Grove Community Center, they need to replace their windows, and they are historic windows, so they're going to cost a little bit more. And they asked for 40,720, and the TAC recommended that amount. And then the last one on the list that just goes a little bit over our 700,000 cutoff point, takes it up to 714,000. And this is the Tillamook County Rodeo Association. This is the first time they've ever applied. They need bucking chutes. Theirs are 35 years old and they need to replace them. Right now, they don't have any. They have to rent them, and they'd rather have their own so they can take care of them so they'll last another 35 years. So they asked for $48,403 and $48,000, and the TAC recommended $45,147. So that's where we are on the ones that TAC recommended. There were a few others that had several kind of ineligible types of requests. There was one organization that asked for like only part of their grant was eligible, and the rest was like to buy furniture, things like that. Also the Pacific City Airport, the Oregon Department of Aviation applied. They wanted 75,000 to do a whole bunch of repairs, which, because they're in the flood zone, there was a big question about that. And also, the whole project was about 200,000, and they were asking for phase one of that from the 75,000. And there were two people on the TAC who were very, very familiar with the Pacific City Airport some issues. And one of the issues is that the state is considering having that be an airport that they close down. So what the TAC recommended is that they use the other 125,000 that they were going to put up for part of this project and have them use that. And if then the airport is still valid and will be operating, then they can come back and ask for more money next year. Any questions?
Thank you, Nan. Commissioners, questions, comments? I expect this may be a bit of a conversation. It typically is. So Nan, we'll just start off by thanking you for your work with the TAC and thanking our volunteers at the TAC for the work that they do. I know that there is, as you pointed out, a scoring rubric that gets us to where we sit here today as their recommendations. So it's helpful to have this come to us with the scores in order and the narrative you've provided, and it's then an opportunity for us to talk. And I think that we have certainly been having some conversations in relation to our TLT, potential tax increase as to how we use TLT dollars. And I know our community is very interested in the work that we're doing around this. So I think it's important to remind folks that over the so many years now that we've had TLT, there have been a number of studies done. They have been a great amount of engagement with the community, looking at what it is the community finds important and what the community was hoping to have TLT spent on, and that is sort of baked in, if you will, to the rubric I believe that you all use to do this. So yeah. I think that's a great jumping off point for conversation. Commissioners, who would like to begin with their thoughts?
I'll jump in.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Nan, for all your work, and thanks to the TAC for their work. As a former member of the TAC, I recall that was a lot of work. And you used to send us home with heavy duty grocery bags full of printed material, 20-pound bags of hundreds of pages of material. So it's really good work because there's so many good ideas. There's so many good projects out there. So largely, I support your list. I'm curious about the Pacific City Airport just because I'm not speaking for my fellow commissioners, but speaking for myself, I very much want to see the airport stay open. So when you were talking about that, there was a question in my mind about, well, I wonder if we fund this grant application, if that would encourage them to stay open.
Yeah.
It might not be a safe bet, but I also understand the logic about asking them to invest first and then we'll finish it. I understand that logic. So, but certainly a lot of people are really invested in seeing the Pacific City Airport stay open. So it's interesting to me that the Department of Aviation applied for the grant.
Yeah, they did last time too. And and that airport is beloved. And it has so many community supporters. And this took the longest conversation of all, talking about this, and we kept going back to it and back to it. And the two people who knew the most about it and what the status was were the ones who really recommended this, that they use the Department of Aviation uses that $125,000 fund to get it started and then come back next year. And that was agreed upon. So. Okay.
In the back of my mind, and I'll invite my fellow commissioners to comment on this. It occurred to me like maybe we've swapped the fairgrounds grant for the PC grant. Maybe yes, maybe no. So to the fairgrounds grant, the Fairgrounds Foundation is a fundraising organization that the county encouraged the fairgrounds for years to develop, because the county wants the fairgrounds to be seeking their own grants. So they're doing what we asked them to do. And I feel like it's appropriate in the sense that that we're investing TLT facilities funds in larger infrastructure projects. Yeah. And so this is different than that. We're investing facilities funds in the power structure of the fairgrounds currently. And so lighting for the tennis courts, super important, totally appropriate for the foundation group to apply for. So I do support that grant. And also, listening to you talk, I was thinking about the conversations we've been having about TLT in the community, and I'm hearing a lot from people who feel like, and this is consistent, I know you've been hearing this the whole time you've been here also, that TLT should go back, not exclusively, but proportionally to the communities that generate it. And I've heard a lot of concern from folks in Oceanside that we don't reinvest TLT in Oceanside. So this is our structure. Like this is the process that we set up, that people apply for grants and then we assess their grant applications. So I'm wondering, you didn't mention any applications from Oceanside. Were there no applications from Oceanside?
No applications this year from Oceanside. We had one last year.
Yeah.
And fortunately now they do have a very active 501c3 that is applying for all kinds of grants available. And it's the Oceanside Action Partnerships. And they have been active in seeking grants. Not this year for this round, but they did last year. And they call and ask about things. I work with them fairly closely. So, and I do encourage them when there is a grant. I do encourage them.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for working with them. I'm disappointed that they don't have anything, just because I think if they consistently had applications, they would probably consistently get funded. So also I think, this is a conversation for later, but we can start it now. I think it may be worth looking at changing the scoring system to add weight to applications from the communities that produce the most revenue. So, and also maybe there are other opportunities. Maybe we can direct those communities because they don't have city managers, they don't have somebody on staff to write grant applications. So maybe we can direct them to the county contractor grant applicator or grant writer or something. Maybe there's some way we can provide assistance to those communities to propose to somebody, this is our idea, but we don't know how to write a grant, and then we can get somebody else to write the grant or whatever. So we're not going to decide that today. Today, we're working with the structure we currently have, but I think that it's timely for us to look at, do we want to shift the way we do things to better support communities that don't have city infrastructure to apply for those grants? So thank you. Thanks, Nan. Thanks for your work.
Sure. And we offer grant writing assistance as well. And we encourage organizations to write the grant, do a draft, have us review it. And that's whether they're applying for a grant from TLT or if they're grants from other areas. We always offer that. And we used to do grant writing workshops. And it done it several times. We're going to do it again. So when another grant round comes up, we can go to communities and do a grant workshop. So
that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
And also regarding Oceanside too, they are getting quite a bit of money this time through wayfinding, and we're working together on wayfinding. We have their gateway signs going up this year, and then we're getting the final planning done and content done very soon for all the interpretive signs and kiosks and things that they want in the town.
Great, thank you.
So they'll be benefiting.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for those points, Commissioner Bell. I think there's some good fodder for us in there in our future conversations. I want to take just a quick moment. David McCall texted and let us know that this 2 City of Bay City projects, the funding is actually the opposite of what it shows on the spreadsheet that Nan presented to us. Just FYI, it should be $70,000 for the playground and $49,000 for the bathrooms.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, City Manager McCall.
Thank you.
We appreciate the input. Thank you, City Manager. Okay.
That's what I get for cutting and pasting. Okay.
Right, there you go. It's always tricky. Commissioner Fournier, would you like to make comment?
Yeah, I would. First, I'd like to go back to the Oceanside thing. I was at the Oceanside community meeting on Saturday, and I did a TLT. They wanted a briefing on where we were at with the TLT ballot thing. And one of the questions was brought up saying the same thing, that we're never funding them. So I asked how many times they've applied for grants recently, and then they said 4 or 5. And I asked how many were awarded. They said 4 or 5. So I think we have a pretty good, and I was going to ask Nan about that, but we don't have to do that today. But I think we're a pretty good track record of funding.
Yeah,
that
we
area.
do.
I just think sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but when you ask the question of how many grants were turned down, and they said none. But I understand their concern. I also am interested in having that conversation about keeping the money in the community. I see some problems with that. I have some concerns about that because that's just rewards. Visitors that are coming here and people that live here recreate in different parts of the county. So to me, it's like the greater good. Like, I don't have any kids in public school, but I'm still paying taxes for public school. So I feel like the idea of the tourism money, the visitor money, we should definitely maybe weight it a little bit for important facility projects that'll really help that area. I just would caution about neglecting other areas that maybe don't have as many short-term rentals just because of geographics or because they don't have much housing there. And I would hate to neglect certain facilities because of the focus. So, but again, we're not discussing that today. Back to the list. I think this is a great list. I think this is fantastic that Tillamook County that we do spend our TLT money on important projects like this. I think it helps us in this process that we're going through now to show that we have been very responsible and creative in using this money. And I think that regardless, going forward, if with the ballot, I think that we're going to continue being responsible with whatever percentage we get or how much taxes we get. So I'm loving all these things. I think it's great that we're investing back in the bowling alley. I think that was and by the way, I was bowling a couple of weeks ago, and I can attest to the fact that the electronics are not working well because I lost. I mean, Ken and Michelle beat me several times. So I'm looking forward to getting an accurate electronics out there. Bay City bathroom, my God, that place needed to be replaced 20 years ago. And I know the commissioner Scar loves bathrooms. So it's always good. Honestly, I think if we had a bathroom project done every year, it'd be fantastic because the county could definitely use it. Yeah, I just think this is I think they did a great job selecting which ones to recommend to us. So I'll let it go there. I don't want to keep talking.
Well,
Perfect.
I would tell you that, the Tourism Advisory Committee is so thoughtful, and they come prepared with, concerns, celebrations, extra additional data that we may not have, that might not have been included in the application. And the discussions are really some of the best that I'm involved in. And I so appreciate their diligence and thoughtfulness in putting this together. And actually, Commissioner Bell, in response to what you had suggested, Rachel Haggerty, of course, is always attends the TAC ranking scoring meetings, the discussion. And she suggested that we do get the TAC together here in the spring or late winter here and discuss what they might recommend in changes to the grant program or overall investments. I think it'd be a really great discussion to have, and I'll be calling that meeting together here next month.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you. I think that's a fabulous thing. And one of the things we talk often about is how important our volunteers are. The TAC are a very important group of our volunteers. And it really does allow these projects to be vetted in ways that would be very difficult for us to do as county commissioners, just given the challenges of getting us together for the number of hours it would take. And I would point out to anybody who wants to see the full grants, they are part of our package today. So that is why the Board of Commissioners package is 406 pages long today. It's because all of those grants are included in the package. So just FYI, they are there if you would like to take and do the work of a TAC member, just to see how difficult that may be. And again, just to appreciate their work. I am going to just note that I sit on the board for the State Forest Trust of Oregon, and I also sit on the board for the Salmonberry Trail Foundation. So while that does not create an actual direct conflict of interest, because none of that money goes into my own pocket, I do want to daylight that, and I will just confirm with our attorney that that does not in any way preclude me from voting, since it's not a personal gain for me, but I do sit on the boards. Joel, is there anything we should be concerned about there?
No concern, Commissioner. I mean, you've disclosed it. There's no personal gain. So as long as you don't feel like there's a personal conflict, you're okay.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to daylight that and be certain. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing, commissioners, is that we are in support of the recommendations that have come to us from the TAC. I think there are two things that might still be hanging there that I want to surface and make sure we're all in agreement and don't need further discussion. The first one is one that was brought up, which is that the fairgrounds themselves are the property of Tillamook County, and is it appropriate? And I think Commissioner Bell, you felt it was appropriate for them to apply through this grant, but you also made a recommendation that perhaps if we were to go ahead as the county and fund that through what the county has allocated for our own use, we could then put some money toward the Department of Aviation. Do you want to talk any more about that? Do you have further thoughts? Do you want to flesh that out?
Well, I obviously just threw that out there on the spur of the moment, but I really, I would like to see us fund the aviation grant application if they're not closing the airport, and I wonder if by funding it, that would encourage them to not close it. And we do have the opportunity to fund that lighting project if we choose to. It's not, it's not currently allocated where there are other big projects that we're funding. So, I was just moving things around in my mind. So I'd really like to hear you two talk about it and see what you think.
Sure, thank you. Commissioner Fournier, do you want to go next, or you want me to go first? Me, okay. So I think from my perspective, I am concerned about the Pacific City Airport. I do know that there's fairly in-depth conversations happening, that it's a complicated issue for the airport, having to do with the properties that are around the airport, that are within the overlay zone, that are owned by folks who would like to develop those properties. And so it's a fairly deep conversation that I don't know will be finalized within a short window of time. So while I agree that we want to show our support for the airport, I don't know that at this time, putting money into it until the complexities of that conversation are complete makes a lot of sense. So I think I would agree with the TAC on that. That said, I do also think that Tillamook County projects for Tillamook County facilities, we have somewhat set an expectation that we would pay for those and not take that from this pot of money that goes out to other community organizations. So perhaps pulling back that money and paying for it with our Tillamook County money, it does free up money, but maybe not to the airport. If there's another one of the projects that was more highly ranked, that would make sense to look at, not to throw everything into a tailspin, but that is also something we could send back to the TAC if we were to say, at this time, we feel that the county should cover county facilities, and here's $50,000, and allow the TAC the opportunity to tell us of the grants not funded if there was one that they would recommend. So I think that would be my thought process. Commissioner Fournier?
Yeah, I think I think I agree with you on that. And also, I think Nan said we were a little bit over anyway, 14 grand over. So that would give us a little bit of a surplus to handle that, and maybe look at some other smaller grants that were put on the back burner. I do agree with, if we can fund our own projects like that rather than dig into this pot of money, I think that's a good move as well. And I agree, the airport's important, but I would like to have more information and confirmation to Commissioner Bell's point about whether or not they're going to close down or not.
Commissioner Bell, did you want to respond to any of that?
I could agree to that if we're saying we will definitely fund the lighting project at the what I wouldn't want to do is move forward with that today, and then somehow we end up not funding the tennis court lighting project.
Perfect, thank you. Rachel, would you like to make any statements regarding that, since you tend to track the county TLT for us and what we're committed to and what we have?
Yeah, I think there's funding for that. Just a comment on more, I guess, about the philosophy of funding the county projects is this did come up during the tax review, and I think there is some conversation that needs to happen about the board's position on county projects. Similar conversation came up regarding the rodeo project. And so, one question in my mind also is for the fairgrounds is you do give them a lot of money already through TLT. And should this be a project, given the size of it, that comes through the funding that they already have? Would this be considered a maintenance improvement project? So, you know, you could go either way too on whether this comes out of the fairgrounds existing allocation that you've already provided, or is this an additional project? All of that said, I think projects that are improving county properties should be in a different process, which is actually set forth in the current facilities policy, but we have kind of gone away from that. And so we're really in this area of continued evolution of how we fund facilities projects that does need conversation. I had originally suggested to Nan that both of those projects get pulled before they even went to the TAC, and they come through a different process, and it just kind of opened up a can of worms. And so I just had her include them and say, let's just put this conversation on hold and run it through the process. So just a little bit more information. I don't feel strongly either way on how the lighting project gets funded. At the end of the day, it is going to probably be TLT, whether that's coming through a different allocation through the budget process, or my approval through that process, or what the fairgrounds already receives. It's all TLT. I just, I don't know if it's worth everyone's time going through this competitive process in preparing these grant applications when it's a county project, is ultimately what it comes down to. So anyway, just some background information.
Thank you, Rachel. So on the Tillamook County Rodeo Association, are those built-in chutes that will then belong to the county because it's at the fairground, or are they movable chutes that they would own?
They are movable. Go ahead, Nan.
I was just gonna say, they own them, but they stay at the fairgrounds. They remove them during the off season to put them in storage at the fairgrounds, and then they put them back for rodeo and events.
Okay. It seems to me there's a slight distinction, as slight as it may be, as to the ownership, whereas the lights in the tennis facility, even though they may be, that grant came through their Fairgrounds Association, they obviously are permanently installed in a county facility, whereas the Rodeo Association could at some point split with the county and take their gates and go home, so to speak. So to me, there's a slight distinction in those two. I don't know if that makes sense to the other commissioners or makes a difference in how we look at those.
Oh, I totally agree. I think the rodeo chutes belong to the rodeo. And yes, they'll be used at the fairgrounds. And I'm a little concerned about of course, we have the option of saying that the fairgrounds can just use the money, the TLT money they already have for the sliding project. But I'm concerned about that approach because they have huge projects that we can't fully fund. And so I mean, maybe we could, but we haven't. So I think this is something extra that they're asking for through TLT. And, you know, maybe it's a conversation for another day, but now I'm repeating myself to say we asked them to develop this foundation so that they could apply for grants. Maybe we didn't specify, but don't apply for TLT grants. You know, maybe sure. That's a conversation to have. But I feel like that if we want to fund the lighting project in addition to their current allocation, I would support that.
Commissioner Fournier, comments?
Yeah, I hate to take, I mean, they have money allocated and they have plans for that money, and I just hate to take that away to fund this project. I do agree. Maybe that's some clarity we need in what grants they apply for. Whereas this one is permanently attached to a structure. Maybe we need to differentiate projects that way, you know, because we're going to own those lights after they're in. So, I mean, I support funding it whichever way is the most feasible way for us to do it. I feel like the TAC approved it. Like you said, they started the association for this purpose or part of their purpose. So I don't want to punish that. I'd rather be able to fund it somehow, but I don't know exactly how we're going to do that. So, but I'd hate to take money from another project just to grant this project.
Thank you. So I guess I would continue to feel for me that we do have the money in the TLT fund. I would recommend that we fund the lights for the fairgrounds out of our county TLT money. that we make it a priority, and that we know we need to do some process improvements between this decision and next year. We know we want to look again at how we allocate TLT. So to put that on the table, both with the conversation with the TAC and I think some conversations with commissioners specifically related to county facilities. So I think we want to commit to that. But for the decision today, my recommendation would be that we accept the recommendations of the TAC, except for the tennis court lights, which we would fund out of other county TLT, and then we would return the amount under $700,000 to the TAC for further discussion and decision as to how they would like to spend that to bring us up to the $700,000 level. That means we are using a portion of that lighting money to cover the $14,000 that was overage. Thank you, Commissioner Fournier, for that catch and that clarity, and would be returning to them the funds to look at the projects that did not quite make the cut this time and to make a determination. Does that feel like a good way forward? Yes, Nan, please.
Yeah, so there were two other projects that rated higher, but they felt that there was something maybe these organizations could raise on themselves. But I know that these organizations don't have a lot of money. And actually the Sitka Center for the Arts, they did their eligible request was $10,457, and that was for energy efficient windows and lighting. They had asked for more, but it was ineligible. And then the Pine Grove Community Center had also asked for another $5,097 and they rated higher than the fairgrounds. And that was to expand their back deck. They had gotten a facilities grant previously. They afforded to build that deck, and they finished it. It looks great, but they would need to expand it. And it's only a $5,097 one.
So Nan, is it conceivable to get the TAC back together and give them back that revenue and let them bring us an additional recommendation for the remainder of that?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can do it by Zoom, I'm sure we can do it quickly by Zoom.
Okay. So I just wanted to go ahead. I know that last year we did some of this work live and in person, received some concerns from the community that we did not know the totals we were voting on at the time that we voted. So I want to make sure that we're providing the most clarity that we can as we do this work together today. So what I see is that the full recommended amount was for $714,559.
Right.
And that the amount that we're looking to pull out of that is the $50,088. That was for the fairground, which means we would be approving a total of $664,471 per the tax recommendation. So then we would be returning to the TAC, if I am correct, $35,529 for them to determine the best allocation for. Does that mathematically work? I don't know if anybody else in the background might have been running some numbers, but I did those on my calculator while we were chatting here. So that is my understanding.
Commissioner Scar, you said 35,529?
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so Nan and I have double checked each other. And so the motion today, should we choose to make one, would be to approve the recommendations of the TAC for $664,471, which are all recommended grants minus the fairgrounds tennis. And I see Rachel's got her hand up. Rachel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You could proceed with the motion today, approving the projects that you know you want to approve, or you could wait and until Nan brings back the full recommendations and make one complete recommendation, so we don't have two recommendations. So just another approach to just have one.
Perfect. Thank you.
At a later date.
I think that I would prefer to do that. Again, I know that there was some concern from the public about our process last time of doing this in real time, if you will, calling an audible. So commissioners, are you comfortable with this being just a we're not considering it today. It was a great discussion, and we'll invite the TAC to go ahead and reallocate those dollars and bring us a full recommendation.
Yes, good suggestion. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And I would agree.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all. And Nan, thank you so much. And please thank the TAC for us. We appreciate, again, their very hard work to get us here. And commissioners, I appreciate the conversation. I know that we're, really working to make sure that our TLT is expended in the best possible way for our community. So.
Right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Nan.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we will move on to item number 8, which is consideration of a 15th amendment to the Oregon Health Authority 2023-2025 intergovernmental agreement number 180028 for the financing of public health services. Marlene Putman, Administrator, Health and Human Services. Is Marlene with us today? I know she was having some internet challenges yesterday at her home, and we have left folks at home this morning. So I am not seeing her on here. This is, as is common, an amendment from the Oregon Health Authority for public health services. It is the adjustment of a very small amount, as I recall. I apologize, I have to get through the 400 pages of applications. So it looks like it is a change for, I believe it's our infection prevention training, and their decrease of $628.94. So it is, as is typical, a housekeeping adjustment for that grant. Are there any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve that amendment from the state.
Madam Chair, I move to approve a 15th amendment to the Oregon Health Authority 2023-2025 intergovernmental agreement number 180028 for the financing of public health services.
And I will second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 9, which is consideration of a drainage easement with Hunt M. Compton, trustee of the Hunt M. Compton Trust on real property situated in the southeast quarter of the northeast 1 quarter of section 19, township 4 south, range 10 west of the Willamette Meridian in Tillamook County, Oregon. And we have Brian Ole, our project engineering manager, with us from Public Works. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, everyone. And for layman's terms, that is in Pacific City, just east of the Old Woods community on Resort Drive. This is a drainage easement that Public Works has been trying to obtain for the last year or so. It was an old pipe that we didn't have an easement for that has long been out of use and collapsed. So we need to reobtain drainage structure there, and hopefully once we get that, we will be able to repave Resort Drive, which we've been holding off doing until we could get some better drainage in this spot. So 20-foot wide easement. We've been working with the property owners there, and appreciate work and cooperation with us to get this done. So
perfect. Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments, starting with Commissioner Fournier?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Bell? No?
Or do I?
Oh, I would look for a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a drainage easement with Hunt M. Compton, trustee of the Hunt M. Compton Trust on real property situated in the southeast quarter of the northeast 1 quarter of section 19, township 4 south, range 10 west of the Willamette Meridian in Tillamook County, Oregon.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you being here today.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, moving on to item number 10. Consideration of a personal services agreement with FCS Group for a Tillamook County Housing Needs Analysis update. We have Parker Salmons, our housing coordinator, with us this morning. Good morning, Parker.
Morning, Commissioners. Today I'm presenting to you a contract with FCS. This is for the housing needs analysis. It is in the bylaws of the Tillamook County Housing Commission that we conduct one of these. And I've been working to make sure that this reflects all of the data needs that we have. and it has been informed by the Housing Commission, and I seek approval for it.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Commissioner Fournier,
I don't have any.
Commissioner Bell.
Nor do I. I'm supportive.
Perfect. And the only thing I will add is that some people may be aware that Oregon Housing Community Services will be doing a housing needs assessment. It is part of the new housing process at the state. The last one they did really got it wrong for the North Coast. So one of the reasons for doing our own is that as the state begins to come out with their work, we will be able to compare it to what we know was very detailed local work that has been done, so that we can be in conversation with them as needed and make sure we're working from real data in our community. So thank you, Parker, for bringing it forward.
Thank you so much.
I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of a personal services agreement with the FCS Group for a Tillamook County Housing Needs Analysis Update.
Second.
And I was lip reading the second, but I figured I'd let you come off mute. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Parker. Okay, moving on to item 11, consideration of a contract for goods with Newburgh Ford for a library vehicle purchase of a 2025 Ford Transit van. We have Don Algar, Library Director.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
I come to you from Rockaway Beach, where I've lost power, but not cellular connectivity. I am going to introduce Jen Wells, the branches and outreach manager, who has done the work of around the replacement of the van and is prepared to present on it.
Thank you. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning. I bring before you today a contract that has been drawn up. We recently came into, let me start over. We have a cargo van currently that works both to deliver materials to libraries throughout the county, as well as delivers materials to homebound citizens who are eligible for our service. This van is getting on up in age. It's been requiring more and more repairs. So this year we did put into the budget to look at purchasing a new replacement cargo van. We reached out to several dealerships along the coast, received 5 quotes, and the quote that met our needs the best was Newburgh Ford. And that is the contract that is before the commission today.
Perfect.
And the amount, oh, sorry. The amount
No,
is
go ahead.
$55,257.84 on the contract.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Commissioners, are there questions or comments? Commissioner Bell.
I'm fully supportive. I know the library needs this. I appreciate that there's a van available and that you shopped around for the best price.
Excellent. Commissioner Fournier.
I would concur.
Okay, as would I, and as always, we remind folks that the library is operated on a levy. It is not part of the general fund. So this funding specifically is funding that you, the voters, have already chosen. And I think this is a great expenditure. So I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of contract for goods with Newburgh Ford for a library vehicle purchase of a 2025 Ford Transit van.
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Don and Jen, for both being with us this morning. And Don, I hope your power comes on soon. And I think I just saw a message from Rachel that hers went out too. So yes, Rachel, please.
I was just thinking, I'm surprised my Starlink is still working. Maybe we can move my agenda item up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're going to go
I'm
ahead
like,
and take.
uh-oh.
We're going to go ahead and do that. We will take item 14 while Rachel still has power or has enough power, which is consideration of a resolution in the matter of affirming the Tillamook County compensation philosophy and establishing comparators. Rachel Haggerty, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the beeping in the background is the battery backup. So as the county is preparing to proceed with the compensation philosophy for our study of compensation for our new job descriptions that we're moving ahead with. January 15th, the board met with Troop in one of the board briefings and received a presentation from Troop that shared the county's current compensation philosophy, as well as ideas for comparator counties. And at that time, there weren't any changes proposed for the compensation philosophy, but just going through the exercise of affirming that you all still approve of that. After a very robust, good discussion during the board briefing and feedback from the leadership team about what non-county government entities or private entities, county departments compete with for employees, Troop went back and did an analysis and provided an assessment with final recommendations of how to proceed. And so, if I may, I would like to read this resolution into the record. I think there's a lot of good information in it. Okay. The county's current compensation philosophy is Tillamook County believes that its employees are the key to delivering excellent county services to residents, businesses, and visitors, and is committed to attracting and retaining employees through fair and equitable pay and benefits. For the purposes of conducting competitive compensation studies, the county defines market as within 5% of the total compensation market average. Total compensation includes salary, total employer paid medical premiums less employee paid premiums for the following: medical, dental, vision, retirement, HRA VEBA contributions. Oh, excuse me, there's a typo in VEBA. If applicable, and the value of paid leave. The county compares to Oregon counties according to Oregon Revised Statute 243.746 sub 4 sub E, which states comparable is limited to counties of the same or nearest population range within Oregon. And there was some discussion about what that is and why we are required to use that statute. And we are actually not required to use that statute. Interestingly, it's under arbitration laws in statute. And so this only applies to Teamster, but for consistency reasons across all of our pay tables, we do apply that to all of our pay tables. Additionally, the county also compares to Oregon counties that are comparable to the county in cost of living index, cost of housing, population, and bordering geographic location that the county competes with for talent. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners hereby affirms the following compensation philosophy. I won't reread that. It's the same one that was stated at the beginning of the resolution. The board further affirms the definition of market as within 5% of the total compensation market average as defined herein. And the board hereby establishes the following comparator entities. So we have 11 counties: Clatsop County, Columbia, Crook, Curry, Hood River, Jefferson, Lincoln, Malheur, Polk, Union, and Wasco. Of those counties, Columbia County is the only new county. We've removed Baker County because it now has a lower population and lower cost of living. We've removed Jackson, which has a higher population size, as well as the lack of proximity. And we've removed Morrow, which has a lower population and cost of living, as well as geographic proximity is further away. Additionally, we have added the city of Tillamook and the state of Oregon. And for those two entities, we will be using those for comparator for positions, excluding directors, because the size of the entity, it's not comparable to what our directors are doing. But for other positions, it will be included. Sub 9, the board hereby also approves the use of published private market data sources for the Health and Human Services, specialized classifications that are not readily available from the comparator entities listed in Section 8. There's a typo there I found this morning. It says Section 7, that's corrected to Section 8 herein. And general classifications such as office specialists, accountings, etc., are excluded. So just further clarifying what is not going to be included in that private market data with the health department. So this is ready for your consideration. I'm glad I made it through with the power, and this is an exciting step to move forward with our study. Where we are in the study is we've finalized the list of benchmark positions, and we anticipate a survey going out to these entities by the end of the month.
Perfect. Thank you, Rachel. Commissioners, any comments? Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, Rachel, for your excellent work. We've talked a lot about this. I think we've settled in a good place, and I feel really good about moving forward with this.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I'm, as a former county employee union member, I can tell you that this, I'm very proud of this work that we've been doing. I think it'd be hard to say we're not trying to compare it to comparable counties and organizations to try to pay our people what they deserve to get. And so I think I'm really happy about this work. I'm really proud to be on this board making this decision.
Perfect. Thank you. I agree. This work has been ongoing. I think we're in about year 3 of intense conversation and drafts of this and work that has been underway to implement this. We have been learning as we go. We currently are connected with Troop, which is a consultant for us that's helping us with this and has helped us really fine tune it to best practices in the compensation industry. And I think that that's really important for us, that we are, as we've said, committed to compensating our employees correctly, that we're using best practices from the industry. And I think our work over the last 3 years has culminated in what to me appears to be a really good philosophy and structure. So thank you, Rachel, for all your work in this. And I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of resolution number 25-001 in the matter of affirming the Tillamook County compensation philosophy and establishing comparators.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Rachel. Good
Thank you.
luck. We hope that you'll be
Thank
able to
you.
hang with us for the rest of the meeting, but we'll understand if you just magically disappear. Okay. With that, we're going to go back to item 12, which is consideration of modification number 2 to personal services agreement number 4548 with the Rockaway Beach Friends of the Library for the lease of a building at 120 North Coral, Rockaway Beach, Oregon. Don Elker, our library director by cell phone.
Hello, commissioners. I continue to be without power, but the sun glare is like 30% brighter.
Woo!
So I'll take it. You have before you an agreement with the Rockaway Beach Friends organization. They provide the building through which the library and the county operate library services on a continuous basis in Rockaway Beach. They provide this space and maintain this space for library services as a nonprofit friends organization. And I wanted to take a moment within this to also acknowledge Jean Schultz, who is the signatory on this for the Friends, who is the outgoing president for the Friends organization. She has been tremendous in her advocacy for the library building in Rockaway, and making sure that projects are moving forward to support access and the success of that building, including things from community art installations to a reworking of the ADA ramp to the front door, the flagpole in front of the library building, and making sure that the very foundation of that building is in good order. So a huge thank you to Jean, a huge acknowledgement to her commitment. It is the commitment of people like Jean that make this library system so successful. With that, I'm glad to answer any questions you might have. It's a 5-year renewal of the agreement for the building. And yeah, glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Don. Commissioner Bell, comments or questions?
I don't have questions, but I'm really happy that we're moving forward with this. I'm grateful to the Friends of the Rockaway Beach Library. And It's a really sweet facility. If folks have not visited the library in Rockaway Beach, you should. It's charming and welcoming and just really very nice. And overall, our library system contributes to our quality of life, and Rockaway Beach is an outstanding example.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier?
I would agree with Commissioner Bell.
Perfect, as would I, and I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of modification number 2 to personal services agreement number 4548 with the Rockaway Beach Friends of the Library for the lease of a building at 120 North Coral in Rockaway Beach, Oregon.
And I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Dawn.
Thanks.
Stay
Dawn.
warm.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 13, consideration of an order in the matter of the reappointment of a member to the Transient Lodging Tax Review Committee. And we have Joel Stevens, County Counsel. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is just an order to reappoint me to this committee. I've served on it throughout my tenure as County Counsel. I work closely with Tommy and community development, and we have a good small group of volunteers that also help out. And we typically meet at least quarterly. So it's a good active committee, and I would just ask to be reappointed. Happy to serve.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions, Commissioner Bell?
Thank you for your willingness to serve, Joel, and for your longstanding service.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier?
Thank you, Joel.
Okay, I echo my thanks. I think we are ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of order number 25-010 in the matter of the reappointment of a member to the Transient Lodging Tax Review Committee.
And I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right, thank you, Joel.
Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you, Commissioners.
Okay, commissioners, do we have any board concerns today?
My board concern is getting to Tillamook for the board briefing because it's still snowing hard in Nehalem, so I may attend remotely.
That is an option open to you. I was hoping that Chris might still be on here. He was on here earlier and I see that he jumped off. I was going to ask him for a roads update out there, but we have not, but he had to jump off. I will say in Tillamook, as I look out my window, Paul, as you look out your window, the roads here are wet. The snow stopped falling, I think about shortly after 9. So I think Tillamook may be, and yesterday this was true as well. The snow stopped in Tillamook before it stopped in north and south. So we will keep our fingers crossed and hope that it stops everywhere soon. And just as I think tomorrow morning is supposed to be ideally a little less snowy. Randy is on here. Randy, is there anything you would want to share as the emergency manager related to conditions out there or expectations for tomorrow? He may only look like he's on here. He may be on a weather briefing because there was one at 9, which is probably why Chris jumped off as well, and they're probably conferring in the background. Okay, any other board concerns?
I have none.
Okay, not hearing any. If anyone is listening, the county offices are set to open at noon today as the roads continue to melt and Chris and his crews continue to do their good work. So I will go ahead and just do our announcements quickly. The commissioners will hold a board briefing on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly commissioner updates. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 at the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. The Local Public Safety Coordinating Council teleconference will be held on Monday, February 10th, 2025 at 12 p.m. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is also 971-254-3154. Conference ID is 155-859-952#. The commissioners will hold the third of 3 public hearings to hear public comment regarding raising county transient lodging taxes. The third public hearing will be held on Wednesday, February 12th, 2025 at 10 a.m. The hearing will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 at the Tillamook County Courthouse in Tillamook. The teleconference number for all public hearings is 1-971-254-3149. Conference ID 866-914-607#. The Tillamook County Library will be closed Thursday, February 13th, 2025 for an all-day staff training on a new catalog system. Libraries will return to regular hours on Friday, February 14th, 2025. With that, I will then adjourn this meeting at 10:20 a.m. Thank you all for being here. Stay safe out there.
Bye, everyone.